Welcome back. I want to take you to a very interesting story now. Kenya's independence is largely attributed to the Mau Mau struggle, even though a landmark ruling back in 2013 in the United Kingdom entitled Mau Mau torture victims to receive 2.6 billion Kenya shillings as compensation. Nevertheless, there are still Mau Mau veterans today languishing in abject poverty. General Kulinu M'thambu M'erangii is one of the last two known living Mau Mau generals from Meru County, a peer of General Baimungi and General Chui, who led the movement in Meru and were killed in a newly independent Kenya. And as Kenya celebrates Mashujaa Day, M'thambu reflects on the resilience of fighters in Meru and regrets that far too few got nothing in return.
In
song, events are remembered and history is immortalized. General M'thambu M'erangii believes he's well over 100 years old. He lives an extremely modest life in Mtwanjiri village in Kianjai area, Tigania West in Meru. And as Kenya celebrates its heroes this Mashujaa Day, M'thambu has nothing but his memories and personal story to show for it.
Na hakuna mali anapata. Mimi nitakufa kama mbwa. Nitafanya nini kwa serikali? Na mimi mwenyewe kupigania.
There is no country without a history. And there is no history without heroes.
In Kenya's independence story, the Meru faction of the Mau Mau insurgency is often omitted. The most prominent name that represented the Meru struggle is that of Field Marshal Baimungi Marete, General Chui and General Mwariama. Field Marshal Baimungi worked closely with Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi, one of the foremost Mau Mau leaders who was captured in 1956.
Uhuru ya inji apatikani hivyo ni ndamu itamangika. Kwa hivyo tukipata uhuru na General Saina, Kamoto, Mwariama, Baimungi, Kazamu kutoka Embu, ndio hao ndio tulikuwa wakubwa. Wakati ni huko Chuka, mimi nikapandizwa jina, ilikuwa Major General, nikapandizwa jina ya General.
But those who whitewash and dodge their history become victims of its ugly parts.
The Mau Mau movement was started by World War II veterans unwilling to further stand colonialism. But after Kenya gained independence in 1963, many of them did not receive the economic and social promise of the independence they had fought for. Land, General M'thambu says, was and remains the key issue. In post-independent Kenya, the founding father Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had made it clear that even the freedom fighters had to pay for the land they fought for in his signature phrase, Hakuna cha bure.
Na mimi hiyo ndio ilikuwa na mangika ndamu, shamba, hakuna chamba.
This photo was taken at Oringo Stadium in Nyeri when Mau Mau fighters surrendered their weapons to the government. General Baimungi was also in the gathering. However, feeling disenfranchised, refused to surrender and returned to the forest with other Mau Mau fighters in January 1964. On 26 January 1964, General Baimungi and Chui were killed and their bodies paraded in Meru town. What many considered the first betrayal of the Mau Mau, not just by the first government but also successive regimes.
Lakini Kibaki ndio mwenyewe kuongoza sisi, akapatia Kimathi chamba, akamupatia university na barabara hii inaitwa Kimathi na mahali mengine. Hiyo ndio mwenyewe, ni huo mpeke yake ndio nakoka kwa sisi.
General Mwariama had a street renamed after him this week in Meru. The general shows us his scar. He had lived with a bullet lodged near his knee for 39 years until its removal last year. In 2013, the British government recognized and acknowledged that Kenyans were subject to torture and other forms of ill treatment at the hands of the colonial administration. 5,228 victims were to receive payments totaling £19 million. General M'thambu notes that most freedom fighters have died and their memory and struggle remains alive in their children and grandchildren. His hope is that their plight will not be forgotten and that their story will continue to be written.
Mimi ni muntu ovyo kama umbwa. Nitafanya nini? Na hakuna muntu wa kueleza. Mumbi ndio iko. Gavana iko. Hakuna hawezi kupika kwa rais.
Dorcas Wangira, Citizen TV, Nairobi.